Today we'll be discussing what to do in the next 30 days to get fired up for 2024. There's lots of really cool things that I've learned that I would love to be able to share with you guys. So this is Nazar with Fiv Realty. Thank you for being a part of this masterclass. And this week we will be discussing, I put here 5 reasons why people move, and then how we as real estate agents are not taking advantage of those reasons. So getting right into it, I think it's interesting that, in opportunistic markets that like we had back in, 2020, let's say, to 2023, right? The last 3 years have been a lot of very opportunistic opportunities, meaning that people have bought properties, have bought Airbnbs, have bought regular properties as investments. Values have gone up significantly. Rates have been super low based on our economy and everything else that's happened with COVID. And because of that, people have bought properties more than they would normally have. And that's settled down, right? Things have slowed down. Rates are in the mid 7s now. And obviously that's put a lot of halt into the people that are buying just for the sake of buying property. Investors necessarily have slowed down a little bit. But what hasn't happened is that people that need to move, have to move, those buyers and sellers are still out there. And so today I wanted to discuss how we can isolate those individuals and what can we do to market to them. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about the have to sellers and buyers in today's market. And then what are we doing to be able to really connect with those individuals? And is our marketing speaking to them? Is our calling, our connections, the activities that we're doing, are they speaking to those individuals? So I have here 5 things. One is divorce, and there's no particular order here, just these 5 things that I've put out there. Divorce. People that are going through divorce have to move, right? Usually most people, their real estate is their biggest asset, their biggest the amount of money that they have is in their real estate. And so they need to sell their property to be able to divide all their assets. Number 2 is people that are downsizing, retirement people, right? People that are retiring and the house is too big, they need to downsize to a smaller house. Number 3 is job transfers, right? People that are getting transferred, or in this case, are losing their jobs and therefore have to move because of that reason. Number 4 is probate, right? These are have to people, right? Someone passes away, either be booked through probate or through a trust. Either way, the inheritance or the person that's inheriting that property has to liquidate that asset. And number 4, I put here too small, right? People that are growing. Our world is getting more and more populated. People are having more and more babies. And when a family gets too big, that house becomes too small, they need to buy a bigger house. And so we're going to dissect these 5 things and figure out what are the ways in which we as agents could really target these individuals in 2024. You guys, you have to realize that this group right here is going to represent the biggest percentage of the buyers and sellers in 2024 market, right? I hope you guys understand that. And if you're not intentionally creating opportunities for yourself to put yourself in those circumstances where you're connecting with, meeting with, educating these individuals, then you're going to massively lose out in 2024. Okay. So let's talk about divorces. So these are just some stats I found online. Again, I haven't fact checked any of this stuff and you can verify on your own, but based on what I've saw online, that on the average, 700,000 Americans file for divorce every single year. Now, that does not mean that every single one of those 700,000 file cases end up getting divorced or that they end up selling real estate, right? There's some people where, one spouse or the other keeps the property and the other one moves and buys the other person out. But that's still a significant amount of transactions that would take place. And so how do we as agents get ourselves in front of those individuals? And this is going to seem like ambulance chasing here, but it's not. It's just strategic real estate opportunities, right? And so how do we connect with people that are getting divorces? What are some ways in which we can create opportunities for us to be able to know who they are and how we can serve them and educate them and give them value? So I want some feedback, or I want some thoughts. What do you guys think? What are some ways that we can find them and then educate them and then gain their business? What can we do?
We can go after attorneys that specialize in divorces.
Okay, so family law, right? We can establish relationships with attorneys that that, do that type of work and connect with them. And so if one of their clients is looking to sell, that they might refer us business. Absolutely. And we can dissect that a little bit more, but what are some other ways that we can do that? What do you guys think?
You can get information from title companies.
We can get what from a title company?
No, they have information about divorce or like, if something's filed, they'll be able to like weed some of those folks out for a specific area.
Gotcha. Potentially, right? Depending on the state that you live in, the title companies may have some data for you when it comes to divorces. What else? One other way.
Network event, attorney network events, conferences.
Okay. Yeah. Did you guys know that attorneys belong to a board that you guys can join as affiliates? Were you aware of that? Just like we as real estate agents have boards of real estate, people that are attorneys belong to a board, and you can join that board, not as an attorney, obviously, 'cause you're not a licensed real estate or attorney unless you are. You can join as an affiliate there, and therefore get access to their events that they do, the trainings that they do, and start networking with those groups of individuals. Absolutely. Or you can do it one-on-one, right? Just find out your local attorneys that specialize in family law and divorce and build relationships with them. Another thing you can do is you can subscribe to, most counties have some type of database that you can subscribe to locally here. I think it's like $40 a month, and you can subscribe and get all the divorce filings that take place. So when someone files for divorce, they go either with an attorney or they themselves do it. They fill out the paperwork and they file a formal divorce, right? And in which case, then that filing is then served to the spouse that's being served, and then the divorce process begins. Depending on the state, that can go as quick as 30 days where the divorce is finalized, or it can take years, right? Depending on the state that you're in. But the point is that if that filing happens and you're able to capture that filing in advance, or meaning that as soon as it's filed, you have some type of a database that lets you know who those people are and who filed for divorce, guess what happens? There's some things you can do with that information, right? We can go knock on their door. We can send them an email. We can get that list of all those potential sellers and the potential sellers, or they're going to be selling their home, put them in a database, and then start emailing to them, and then start putting them in our social media blasts and start connecting to them that way. We can send them letters individually, both to both spouses separately. We can go door knock. We can call them on the phone, right? And when we do that, when we are reaching out to them, right, you can think about ways in which you can strategically. The message needs to be, hey, if you want to sell your house, I'm here. That's obnoxious and no one's going to like that. But if you're giving them value, right? If you're offering to offer a CMA, if you're offering to be able to, walk them through the process and saying, hey, you specialize in helping people liquidate their assets, and real estate being the biggest asset, and help them walk through what that looks like. You can give them guidance on how to have an amicable divorce, right? You can partner up with a divorce attorney and give them information that way. There's lots of different ways that you can reach out to them, both on social, in person, at their house, via mail, via email. There's lots of ways you can connect with them. The important thing is that in this time period, if divorce sales is not a part of your strategy for 2024, you're going to miss out on a huge segment. Because it's always been around, right? It's not like this is a new thing. Divorce is happening every single year, right? The stats in US is what, 30 to 50% of all marriages end in divorce. And so there's lots of opportunity there. And so if you're not taking advantage of that in the past, that's fine. You may have happened to run across that opportunity, right? Who's ever done a divorce sale just by whoever you knew, whatever? Yeah, we handle divorce cases, but if it's not a strategy, then this could be an opportunity for you to be able to create that as a strategy and create a lucrative opportunity for you. And obviously we all know, with everything that's going on with the lawsuits and everything else, the way in which we can create seller opportunities for ourselves is going to be way better for us than trying to find a buyer. And speaking of buyers, what's really cool about divorce situations, cases is that sometimes one sale could turn into 3 transactions, right? You can help them liquidate that one home, and then you can help both husband and wife, depending on if they like you, help them both go buy 2 separate other smaller properties. And then there's also, depending on who they are, they might have multiple properties that they need to liquidate, right? And you can help them walk through that process of liquidating their other investment real estate assets. Anyway, so those are divorces. Make sure that if it's something that all these things we're going to be talking about today, if you're not interested in doing it, don't do it. But if you are, and you think you can be good at it, then spend some time when you're working on your business plan, spend some time in creating a real strategy, how you can implement and go after those types of opportunities and sales. Number 2 is retirees, okay? 12,000 Americans turn or will turn 65 every day in 2024. 12,000 Americans turn 65 or will turn 65 every single day in 2024. That's a huge number. Huge number. And guess what happens? That's usually typically the age in which people retire. And so if that's the case, then what are we doing to attract, connect with, and represent those sellers that typically will be selling and downsizing? Now, I think I forgot the exact stats here, but oh, here it is. 1 in 6 Americans are over the age of 65. I thought it was an interesting stat. 1 in 6 Americans are over 65. So how are we as real estate agents tapping into that market? How are we helping those individuals, the boomers, retire and then plan their exit strategy? Unfortunately, most Americans have been taught, the middle class or the poor middle class have been taught, you buy a property, you pay off that home as soon as you possibly can, you don't have any debt, and you retire without any debt, and you own a property free and clear, right? And unfortunately, with that mindset, you have no other assets and you have one nest egg, and that's in your home. They might have pensions, they might have 401ks and stocks, but their real estate assets, typically just one. And so because of that, they have to really squeeze as much as they possibly can from that sale to make it worthwhile for them. Like my in-laws did the same thing. We helped them retire. That's not true. He's still working, but we helped them sell their home that had a mortgage on it, and we helped them move to Utah in a different state. And so they're able to buy a property all cash, right? So a lot of people are doing that. I forgot what the percentages of people that move out of state. I had it written down somewhere, but I can't find it right now. But there's a big migration that happens from state to state when people retire, just because they're looking for more affordable options or more tax-friendly environments or more of a lifestyle change, and therefore looking for places that they can retire and feel more comfortable in. People that typically live in cold climates will tend to retire in warmer climates. And so there's lots of movement and transference that happens in retirement. And so how are we connecting with them? So what are some ways that we can do that? How can we tap into the retirement market? What can we do? What do you guys think?
We can have senior events, like maybe like a trust event where you invite, the both generations, invite the children and the parents, and do you have your nest egg settled, and that stuff we could do. Join them in when they have events like at the senior centers or something, like bingo night or car wash, I don't know, something to that effect.
Yep. Listen, there's no wrong answer here. All that is just being intentional with knowing that this as a lead pillar can create opportunities for you if you focus and hone your skills and are looking to attract those type of opportunities. Okay. You can just mass blast everybody, but if you talk intentionally to somebody, right, on social media, if you're talking just to retirees, or if you talk to them, then guess what? That's the type of people that may listen to your content, right? The type of people that are looking to retire, maybe giving advice on how to retire or where to retire, or say, hey, if you're in California, You can say top 5 places to retire when you turn 65, or top 5 places to retire, or top 5 places that baby boomers are moving to or migrating to once they leave California. And then naming those reasons, or naming those places and reasons why people have chosen to move there. You get about things to do before you retire, and estate planning and probate or sales and stuff like that, which we'll get to in a second. You can have those discussions with them. So social media strategy, mailing to them, right? Most people that are baby boomers don't like email as much as they do letters. So mailing something to them, they like that even more than postcards, because it's something that they're opening.
Nazar, I was talking to a buddy who did a email or a mail campaign with magnets specifically, because a lot of older people will still put magnets on their fridge. And so he found anybody that had lived in their house for over 20 years in certain areas and then sent them mail campaigns that included these fridge magnets. And he actually had a lot of success from that, from people actually keeping that contact card, as well as kids when they'd come in and clean out a house after a death or something like that. Had a couple of calls from kids that saw the magnet on the fridge and reached out. Absolutely.
Again, if you put yourself in the mindset of that individual and what are their likes and dislikes and what do they enjoy, that could be a really good way to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do in 2024. I'm planning out my first quarter, planning out my first month, or whatever it is, ideally in the next 30 days. What are you going to do to connect with them? How are you going to connect with them? And if you're super young and you feel like you don't resonate with old people, then don't do it, right? If you don't want to.
Nazar,
Right?
I have an idea as well. I market to a bunch of 55 and older people, and they're pretty much my bread and butter. So I do about 2 or 3 times a year, I'll get different lists from our title company, go after people that have 2-story homes that have a bunch of equity in their properties, and we can even get super nitty-gritty with it and find out who's over the age of 55 or whatever and strategically mail to them.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, that is literally the whole point of downsizing, right? When you're looking at people that have bought properties and they own and sometimes downsizing necessarily doesn't mean downsizing the square footage. It could mean downsizing their lifestyle, or downsizing their payment, or their expenses, right? If you're able to get them to sell a home that's, call it 2,000 square feet or 3,000 square feet, and they move to a different state, they can buy the same size home that they're accustomed to, but now eliminate all expenses, or put them in a situation where their retirement pensions or Social Security is going to go a lot further than it would in their current state or location or county they live in. I mean, that's a huge savings. And even knowing that they could, like California, for instance, if they move from one county to another, they can take their tax base with them, right? So that they can sell their home that they bought for 30 cents. And now that it's worth like $1 million, they can sell that property, go buy it in a different county, and even if they bought a home for $800,000 or whatever it is, they can take their tax base with them and save money that way. So information to be given to them could be a way that you can communicate and deliver value to them, so that they would want to use you and trust you to do business with you. Okay, let's go to the third one: job transfers. 4.8 million people move from one state to another because of job transfer every single year in the US. That's a lot of people, right? And obviously, I don't know what percentage of that is actually families or whatever, but it's a significant amount of people that are moving because of job transfer every single year. And so how do we connect with them? You can do relocation, right, with big relocation companies, but there's also other ways that you can connect with people that are actually moving. What do you guys think some of those things or some of those ways are? How do we connect with people that are moving because of a job transfer? How do we connect with them?
YouTube videos with our local market.
Can you be more specific?
5 great reasons to move to Athens, Georgia. I mean, maybe, and then just highlight your local area and maybe that, and then just do more content, hyper local content.
Absolutely. So I love that strategy, Joanne. I think it's great to be able to say, hey, if you're coming here, if you're moving here, if you're one of those states that people come to move to, or a lot of jobs are formed in your area, a lot of big companies are coming in. Yes, creating reasons to be able to show, hey, why move here? Even though they're being obligated to move there, if you tell them why they're to move there, especially on YouTube, that stuff can stick, right? Because people do start searching, gosh, what the heck's in Timbuktu, wherever. And if your video comes up and you talk about all the things, then yeah, you're gonna be the go-to person they get that information from. What else can we do?
Nazar, a thought here. I know a lot of like local unions, like electrician unions, when they do events or do anything like that, they're constantly looking for sponsors. A good buddy of mine is a union organizer. They have shirts they give guys, try to recruit them to the union. People looking to change jobs, get into a new industry, they'll put sponsor logos on the back, give out information. You could set up a booth at an event, things like that for people making that job transition as well.
Absolutely. Another going along with what you're saying, Joanne, making videos to like help them navigate the process of moving, right? Moving from one state to another is a pain in the butt, and there's a lot of like reasons or things you have to think about you may have not thought about before. And so creating videos to say how to move from California to here, or how to move from Georgia to wherever, like, what are the common moves that people make, and make videos to share how to. That can be a huge way for people to like see value in you. And even if that's just a referral that you give to somebody else, right? Like someone says, hey, Nazar, someone, or, like if someone reached out to me and said, hey, you made this video about moving from here to here. I'd love help with that. And if I don't serve that area, I can most certainly send a referral to an agent that can serve them. So like creating those types of videos, both on YouTube, on Instagram, and social in general, could be a way to be able to connect with them, connecting with local unions, local massive jobs, like the just on the job posts or boards that they might have, and even LinkedIn, right? When you start looking for people, you can farm on LinkedIn people that are looking for jobs, right? And if you were to connect with those individuals, like that might be an opportunity for you to be able to say, hey, if you're looking to make a move and if you get a job, I'd love to be able to connect you with an agent that can help you facilitate that move. Okay. Any other thoughts about job transfers? Like I wanted to add, just aside from job transfer, you also have nowadays job losses, right? So someone loses their job. It might be a way for us to be able to connect with them and say, hey, like most people don't have more than 4 or 5 months of savings before they're tapped out, right? And so that's why I think you're seeing a little bit of an uptick in pre-foreclosures or foreclosures and notice of trustee sales that are popping up, right? That's its own little separate thing you can do if you wanted to. I don't think it's a huge number, but what's cool about notice of defaults and notice of trustees is that those individuals most of the time have a ton of equity still. So even though it's a notice of default sale, it's truly not a short sale. It's a distressed sale, but it's not a short sale. Do you guys understand the difference? Right? A distressed sale is someone that is forced to sell because they can't afford their house anymore. They might be late on their payments. They might have penalties and late fees and all this stuff accumulating from their mortgage lender. And that mortgage lender could start the process of foreclosure. But let's say they owe the bank 6 months worth of back payments or 4 months worth of back payments. Their mortgage is $400,000, but their house might be worth $8 million, right? So it's not a true short sale, right? When the house is sold, the bank is going to get paid back all their interest and all the loan that was paid to them. So we don't have to get the bank's approval to sell the property, but most certainly need to do a quick sale in a distressed situation to be able to help them avoid an actual foreclosure on the property. So going after notice of defaults because of job losses or notice of trustee sales. If you guys don't understand that in itself could be its own topic, a deep dive could be done with there on how to find them and then how to speak to them and how to market to them so that you come from a place of love and compassion and understanding where you're not there just to like try to screw them over or take advantage of them. Okay. Because I think there's lots of people that in that space are like sharks and smell blood and want to attack. And if we're able to be there truly as a person to help them, we can save them from so much heartache. There's a lady that just recently, her mom, well, I guess this goes into our next topic. I'll save the story for the next one. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is probate and trustee sales. Again, I just looked at stats here locally. There's 3,000 probate sales that took place in Utah in 2023. 3,000 sales that took place. That's a lot of transactions that we could participate in. right? There's 3 million in the US. 3 million probate sales. Like that's, or at least 3 million probate listings that were filed. Like there's so much opportunity there to be able to connect with people. First of all, teaching Americans still to this day, why in the world they don't have their homes in a trust is beyond me. But two, when it does go to probate and does, if someone does unexpectedly pass away, teaching them how to navigate that process, educate yourself and becoming a probate expert, and then helping those homeowners, the people that are inheriting the property, because it's a process. There's a mourning involved, and there's also just helping them deal with the grief of the loss that they had, and then also helping them liquidate that asset. So that in itself could be a huge opportunity for agents to be able to have business that is never going to stop. It's always there. People are always passing away. Again, I don't want to take up too much time, but the last one was people that are growing up and having more babies, right? So people that have more babies, and that's an easy way to be able to do that too. Easy to be able to find people that are having babies and then be able to market to them and saying, hey, is your room or is your house too small? You can do that by advertising to people that have homes that are, in the smaller range in your neighborhood, in your communities, and to say, hey, is your home too small? Do you need more space? Do you need more, breathing room? And if you do, let's help you let's help you get into a bigger property. A lot of times, if you're smart and you're a good friend agent, you might persuade them to keep that home that they have that's too small, turn that home into a rental, and then go buy a bigger property. Or, if they don't have the capacity to be able to do it, then you help them sell that property and buy another home and do two transactions with it. Any questions on that? Okay. So you guys, we've discussed 5 ways, 5 groups of people that have to sell in 2024. Okay. You've got the other first-time buyers and all those other people that play a role, but these are the have to people. And so how are you going to make sure that you have space in your business plan for 2024? How are you going to invest time and energy in learning about these different groups of people? And then how are you going to market to them? What questions, thought do you guys have as we've discussed these 5 different groups here? Oh, okay, awesome. That's great. I'm glad you guys are getting some good value out of this. Okay, I want to throw a freebie. This is a 6th one, even though I don't like the number 6. I much enjoy the number 5 for obvious reasons. The 6th one is people that have tried to sell in the past but have failed. And I'm not talking about people that have expired or canceled in the last 30 days, but I'm talking about going back all the way from this year forward, right? Like how many people have put their homes on the market, were unsuccessful at selling because of the wonky real estate market. They had dealt with an inexperienced agent that didn't know what they're doing. They priced their home incorrectly. They took their home off the market and they're frustrated. They still want to sell. Look at Matt Deal in the house. Look at that. I get to see you, bud. They still want to sell. They still want to do these things, but they're stuck, or they feel like there's no one that's moving. And in fact, Emily here has a listing, and she was talking to somebody who's like, she has a listing for like $800,000, and someone made an offer for $650,000, right? $150,000 less than list price. And this buyer was like, no one's selling, so we're just making offers that are super low. And she was able, because she does our stats for us, she's able to, well, she's like, actually, last month, these many homes listed, these many homes sold. This is a list of sold price ratio. She's able to give them these stats to be able to know that, no, that's actually not true, right? There's a big difference between a myth that no one's buying or selling and the facts that people are buying and selling. Here's the actual numbers, right? So knowing that data could hugely impact your ability to be able to convey to a buyer, seller, investor what the reality is, what the truth is, and therefore help them feel more comfortable and feel safe in making that decision, whatever that decision is. Okay, so that was number 6 for you as a bonus. But I really want you guys to think about these other 5 opportunities that we've presented here today, because I think that if you really dissect them and make them a part of your business plan, you guys, most agents, the average agent, maybe sells 4 or 5 homes a year. And if you think about it, like if you just did one transaction from each one of these, you can literally guarantee those 5 or 4 transactions, and that could be up and above what you're already doing, right? And imagine if you were to do 2 transactions from each one. In fact, some of you guys might say, you know what, like I'm going to double down on the divorce or the probate or, you know, the retirement, and really, really focus on those individuals. That could be a great strategy for 2023. You don't need 10 different lead pillars, right? We need 3 to 5 solid lead pillars that can dedicate all of our time and energy on becoming really, really honed in on those people. You guys know the difference between how much money a regular doctor makes compared to a specialist like a cardiologist or an anesthesiologist or vascular surgeon. Do you know the difference between a family doctor and those people as far as what compensation that they make? We're talking like 3 to 5 times more, right? A regular family doctor may make between $120,000 to $170,000 a year, versus a cardiologist and anesthesiologist is making $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year. You know what the difference between these 2 guys are? One's a family practitioner, like they're like your home inspector that is a generalist, and these guys are specialists. The education difference is also different, right? If you keep becoming a family doctor, you're going to school for, I don't know, it was like 8 or 10 years, whatever it was. You want to be a specialist, you want to be a heart surgeon or whatever, you're going to school for another 2-3 years above that. And so how do we as agents differentiate ourselves? I think the big part of it is becoming specialists and then getting really good at what we're doing. And the way we do that is by educating ourselves. Because if we educate ourselves and become an expert in whatever those lead pillars are, then instead of being like, oh yeah, you know, if you guys have heard those people when they talk about agents, I sell, you know, when they go to conferences, they're like, oh, you know, where do you sell homes at? You're like, oh, I specialize in Southern California. You've heard those people? Like the whole state, or you know, the whole half southern part of the state. No, you don't. You don't know every single nuances of every single state or every single city. You know what I mean? Like, get honed in and be very specific on who you're trying to attract. And guess what happens? Your tone, who you speak to, who you could attract and connect with, become those people, and you get really, really good at it. And that's how you become successful. So
yeah, Nazar, here's kind of another thought. Sorry to interrupt there, but kind of along similar lines of how do we find some of these people?
Yeah,
Is we have more of a problem in our industry now with people being able to qualify with their current mortgage. So there are a lot more contingencies to sell popping up. And that becomes a particular problem with new construction. And new construction is also up as far as the volume goes nationwide. So we've actually found kind of a cool foot in the door with builder reps or network and branding, social media, whatever it is we have a couple of furnished rentals ourselves. And we also know other people that have furnished rentals that coincidentally, kind of 3 layers deep, is cities have changed their ordinances. So you've got some of these short-term rental owners with vacancy or not knowing what to do. Do I defurnish and rent out, right? We've all had that conversation. And you can kind of time all those up to say, hey, look, let me put you on speed dial if I can come up with a tenant for you. And if you can be a resource to connect people with a month-to-month contract, something more temporary, to be able to move out, list their house, sell their house, and then go build a house or buy a house. We've had probably I don't know, half a dozen contracts just in the last 5 or 6 weeks from that alone.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, anytime you're able to solve a problem that impedes a sale from taking place, then you become the solution, and therefore you make the transaction happen. You're right. There are lots of people that have to sell to be able to buy the next home. And if they are in a position where they can't, and you can facilitate that, then absolutely. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Brandon. Any other thoughts, questions, or concerns about either of these lead pillars that we discussed today, or any other thoughts on how we can be more intentional with our sales for 2024 and what you are going to be doing the next 30 days? You guys, things naturally slow down during the holiday season, right? There's going to be even less sales that take place. And so this is a perfect time to spend the next 30 days on honing our craft and learning and educating ourselves. Okay. Like, instead of just listening to some BS music, have a podcast playing in the background that teaches you and gives you education on one of these things. There's lots of resources that are out there. If you spend 30 minutes every single day educating yourself with more knowledge on these lead pillars, or how to educate yourself on how to become a better real estate agent, listen to these podcasts here, like think of how much more of value you can bring to sellers and buyers in this market. I mean, it's just, it's an amazing thing that what we can do if we just put a little bit of effort in our time and energy. So, all right, guys, today is Thursday, November 9, and I hopefully you guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week. And again, if you've got friends, if you guys found value in this and you feel like other people could also find value, feel free to share this link with anybody. This is open to anyone that wants to come along. So hopefully we get some more people here. All right, guys, have an awesome day.
Thank you.